Howdy and welcome to the Mighty Mo Chuck channel. I'm Chuck. This video is on the idea that we can be born into the past, we can be born into the future, and what's more, we can be reborn to live the same life more than once. This video explores the idea that I've lived the life of Chuck more than once. Yes. Did I drown when I was 3? Was I murdered when I was 12? Seriously, do you know? Yeah, see, it's not like there's changes in the Bible or changes in movie lines. You can't Google it. You can't compare notes to people in forums because, you can't. So you try to remember. You try to use your episodic memory to try to figure things out. And sometimes the memories, especially if you have lived the same life more than once, I think some of the memories get muddled and mixed up, kind of. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm muddled and mixed up. Maybe that's it, baby. Yeah. So I'm going to start this video with an anomaly. And the anomaly is that someone I knew as a child, he was the father of someone I played with as a child, he died in 1969. Okay, on his tombstone is the date 1960. But I know that he died in 1969. Plus, I looked it up to find the records that he died in 1969. But his tombstone shows that he died in 1960. Now, even if this is not a Mandela effect where, there was some weird change, even if it's not a Mandela effect, but it's just an error that was caused when the tombstone was being inscribed, I still think that the error points to something, and I think it points to the idea that maybe he lived the same life more than once. And in one version of his life, he did die in 1960. And of course, in this version of his life, this current version, he died in 1969. I think that's what the anomaly points to. Of course, I can't prove it. Now, I'm going to refer to the man that I'm talking about as Mr. X. Mr. X was married to a woman who was divorced from one of my uncles. Mr. X was the father of someone I played with as a child. Mr. X was the stepfather of my cousin. Now, as I've said in other videos, I think I may have drowned when I was 3. In this version of my life, I almost drowned. I think in a previous version of my life, I did drown. And in that version of my life, the year that I drowned was 1960. That was when I was 3 years of age. And I think Mr. X, in one version of his life, he died in 1960. In the current version of his life, he died in 1969. So in the previous version of our lives, perhaps, this is just a theory, we both died in 1960. Now, I have a very clear memory of Mr. X bringing my father a dog, and my father was going to take the dog to live with my grandparents who had a country place. But until he could get the dog to my grandparents, he put the dog into a room that was on the back porch. Where we lived at, it didn't have an interior bathroom. The bathrooms were on the back porch, and there was a bathroom on the left, there was a bathroom on the right. In the middle, there was a bathroom with a large tub, and that's where the dog was put. I have a very clear memory of that. Okay, so later when my family went to visit Mr. X, this was the first time that I'd been to the home of Mr. X. And when we got out of the car, there was the dog. There was a dog that I had a clear memory of the dog, being given to my father by Mr. X. And my father was going to take the dog to live with my grandparents. I have a very clear memory of that. But when we went to visit Mr. X, there was the dog. And I had petted the dog, previously, and I was certain it was the same dog. And so I run up to pet him, and everybody starts screaming, "No, the dog's vicious. He's going to hurt you." And I didn't understand it. I was confused. I'd petted the dog before, And the dog didn't try to hurt me when I went up to where the dog was chained. The dog didn't try to hurt me. It was like the dog knew me just like I knew the dog. But here's the thing. Later on, I asked my father about, that memory of the the dog, being given to my grandparents. And he knew the dog I was talking about, but he said that didn't happen. That dog was never, uh, never around me before, we went to visit Mr. X. That memory that I have, it didn't happen, but I'm certain it did happen. I clearly remember it. So I think that the memory of the dog being brought to that house, that was a different version of my life. I think it was a different version of my life when that dog was brought by Mr. X to our house. And I can't prove, what I'm saying here, obviously, but I do have the clear memory of it. I have a very clear memory of it. And I think that points to that I'm on the right track to thinking that we live different versions of the same life. We can live the same life more than once. I think I'm on the right track with that thought. But there again, it's just a theory, and there may be other explanations to why, I have that clear memory of the dog. Perhaps I just, dreamed it, just a dream. For some reason, I dreamed about a dog that I would later see. I guess, I guess that would be an explanation, but it's a clear memory that it actually happened. And I think perhaps when we live the same life more than once, we do get the memories muddled and mixed. I think that does happen. Now, in this video, I mainly want to stick to the anomaly of Mr. X and the anomaly in my memory regarding Mr. X and the dog. I didn't want to muddle a lot of stuff together. I want to kind of keep this video simple. In the next video, I will advance the subject more about why I think that I've lived the same life more than once. I think I've actually lived this life probably at least 3 times. But of course, it's just theory. I don't know that for sure, but I'm going to give you an idea of why I think that. So anyway, much thanks for watching and listening. I do appreciate it. Yes, I do.